Good everyone, today's video, and today we have a first impressions of the ZUT-37. Now, as you may know, I do war bonds, and well, this is the one I chose for this month. And I know some people are going to go, why did you not go with the German T-34? You see, the German T-34 is nice and all that, but to be honest, if I wanted a German 4 lineup, I'd have gone with a Churchill last month, well, the month before this one. Well, by the time this video comes out, it'll be past a month anyway, because obviously the ZUT was in August, and obviously we'll be on to September by the time this video comes out. But you get the point. Like, I was gonna go for the German Churchill, but I thought it's not really like I could get it, but I don't really need a 4-0 clubbing lineup. And also I went with the TB3 back when the KV1B came back for war bonds. I mean, the TB3 is fun and all that, but at the same time, I don't really want a clubbing tank because, well, I mean, I have plenty, but you get my point. So for this month, well, I say this month, well, you know what I mean by now. I went with the ZUT-37, and obviously I've had a couple of games in it, and I've got to say this thing has impressed me. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be covering a review today. That'll be something that I do eventually. But obviously, I will go over the vehicle anyway, just to give you an idea of what it's like to play. And there will be a bit of gameplay, obviously, as per normal. So, the ZUT-37 is a T-70 based anti-aircraft vehicle, and to be brutally honest, I thought this thing was going to be a mixed bag. But as I've played it more and more, this thing's really surprised me, and in more ways than one. Let's put it that way. So ZUT is quite fast. It's also got a decent gun. Obviously, in and up tier it does struggle, so you've got to take that into account. But it's surprisingly hideable, if that's even a word. You can park this thing in some really weird positions where people won't even think to look. And obviously, because it's so small, they won't look for it anyway. And you can actually get away with getting, shall we say, like, you can actually show great parking spots that you wouldn't be able to normally do in a tank, such as a T-34 or something. And this opens up a whole different kind of ball game. Now, obviously, with the ZUT being as small as it is, you can actually park it behind and in front of some enemies' tanks, and they can't actually shoot you, such as an M3 Lee, unless you park in front of 75mm, in which case you deserve that to the face. But obviously, that is just the way the tank is, and it's just so unique in the sense that it's a familiar chassis to you light tank players in Russia, but at the same time, it's combining a unique factor. Obviously, this is meant to be an anti-aircraft. It's not a very good anti-aircraft, but obviously I'll point that out in the review of it. I don't even need to say why if you look at the turret rotation speed. It is only 7.1 degrees a second on my current crew. But to be brutally honest, I've had so much fun with this little thing. I don't really pay attention to the turret traverse because the whole traverse is just so good. So obviously we are armed with a 37mm cannon, and we do have access to armor-piercing tracer rounds, which are actually surprisingly effective at both shrapneling and getting damage on target. These rounds have up to 71mm of penetration at 10 meters, and even at 2 kilometers you can still go through 30mm of armor. Although I would not recommend shooting at 2 kilometers because of the recoil of this thing. But again, I'll go into more on that in the actual review. But obviously the hull armor isn't going to save you for the most part. I mean, you might get a lucky ricochet off the upper frontal plate, the lower glacis goes to the transmission, and this vehicle is hull breakable, which personally I don't understand why. Because yes, it's a T-70 hull, but the turret is the only part that's weak compared to a normal T-70. But end of the day, I don't make Gaijin's code, and clearly Gaijin just love to mess up with vehicles. But obviously, I won't be saying should you get it or anything like that. That will be saved for the review purposes. So now that you've seen a basic look at the vehicle, let's jump into some gameplay. But first of all, I need to make sure my sound is working because these last few days, whenever I go to record, it automatically defaults to my speakers, and it's very annoying because I have to fanny around doing that sort of thing. But I do have a scumbag alert to do, so that will be, you'll see that before this video, but I just wanted to get the ZUT out later, and then I can obviously get into the team kill, which obviously you'll see before this, way before this, in fact. But obviously, I don't need to say anything about that. You would have seen it by the time by the time I actually get into get into this video and all that. But at this current time, I haven't actually recorded that team kill and the scumbag alert, so yeah, it's not by me, obviously, as you already know. Well, you'd know by now, but you get the point. So, I'm with Tanker4U1234 in this battle, and he just bought the Grant 1, and he wanted to tag along with me, so I thought, yeah, why the hell not? I'll bring out the ZUT-37, as we call it, and I'll take it out for the first couple of games. Now, also, the ZUT has a unique factor. Well, another unique factor, I should really say. I think it's one of 2 vehicles in the game with a bucket, which you're going to need it because of the sheer amount of shit teams I've had playing this thing. Trust me. Because seriously, that you're going to need a bigger bucket than that, but it's just nice to have that bucket because it's a unique factor. I mean, it's one of 2 tanks, I think, with an actual bucket. The only other one being the KV-85. So I think they actually removed it off the KV-85. I think this is the only vehicle in the game now with a bucket. So for some reason, this AMX-13 decides to brake check me. I guess he's a BMW driver because he's a complete cunt. But that's just the way he is. And obviously, I don't know what he's planning, so I let him go first because obviously you can slide down to the left and fall into that area there. And at this point, Tanker's about to turn into the town to take a peek at what's going on in the sea point. So obviously, I think this is my 3rd game in the tank, if I remember rightly. This is either the 2nd or the 3rd game. The first game went okay, but obviously I needed to learn. Well, I already understood that I've got a lot to learn about this thing. And obviously, with the vehicle being a unique playstyle, which adds to the 2-7 lineup, which you saw below. And by the way, here comes a funny moment. Tanker's like, I need this LVT out of the way, and he just rams him straight out of the way, because obviously the Grant has a much more weight than I do. And he just rams that LVT out the way with no issue at all. But here comes the factor of the ZUT that really makes this thing fun. You can park this thing in stupid locations and people will not check. So what I do is I ram down this small bit of wood here, and this FM43 thing sees me. Well, originally he drove past. I'm just going to pause it here to explain what happened. He drives past, but then obviously he saw the wood fall, and obviously he must have saw my muzzle brake as well, and must have thought, what was that? And you'll be surprised how many people fall for it. So first shot goes in the engine, second shot into the crew, and third shot into the fighting compartment. Job done. First kill. But obviously with a 5-round magazine, it took me 4 shots to kill that guy, although I probably could have killed him in 3, to be brutally honest. Yeah, I decided let's go for a reload because I'm going to give more advice on it in the review, but I'm not going to say what you should do now because that's not the point. That's for the review, as I keep mentioning. Which I'm looking forward to reviewing this little thing. I love it. This thing, honestly, has been one of the most fun vehicles I've had to my collection for a long time. And the sad part is, a lot of people give this thing flack. I know it's a joke about it being an anti-aircraft, but a lot of people give this thing flack, which I really don't think you should. It takes a lot to learn it, but it's a lot of fun. It honestly is. So at that point, that enemy tank to my left has just died, and obviously Tanker's like, "You're so small, you can squeeze in there," and obviously I can fit in here no problem. And are you exactly going to look for this thing here? I actually thought that was an enemy, because obviously I think we're fighting no, we're fighting the French? No, we're not. Because obviously you can fight French Crusaders, and I assumed that was a French Crusader, but it wasn't. It was I think that was the Saint, the premium. But obviously Tanker's going on ahead, so I thought, well, I'll follow him, and obviously I flushed my clip after accidentally shooting the Crusader. Just proves that even experienced players will get caught out by some stuff. But obviously, as you can tell by that KV, this was a max up tier, and it wasn't too bad, because obviously most of the enemy vehicles that I saw were 2.7, 1.7 in one case. And to be brutally honest, I didn't have that much trouble with it. But obviously, I'm pulling over this ridge, and obviously I'm looking around for enemy aircraft, because although you're not a great anti-aircraft, you're still committed to at least trying, or at least pestering them off, so that way your team can be more safe. And, well, here comes the Russian gun depression. But just a little bit more forward, and he never actually saw me because my turret was just so small, and my vehicle was just so small. So again, flushed the clip, and obviously Tanker's right there, and this M10, who's the guy from earlier who brake checked me, is actually ramming Tanker up the ass, which just goes to show how some players are. But that's the thing, like, even though we're in a 3-7 up tier, this thing still works. And just look at this position. I'm hull down. The only thing you can see is my turret, and even then, I don't think anyone's going to go looking. And at this point, Tanker accidentally had smoke loaded. I think it was his first or second game in the Grand, and obviously he didn't know the shell composition. And I said to him, well, here's some advice from me. If you're going to play a Lee, because that's basically what a Grant is, it's just missing the cherry kick turret on top and a bit more frontal armor on the turret face. I said to him, you're going to want to take APCBC in both guns, the 37 and the 75, and take a bit of smoke in the 75 as well. And obviously he's learning that, because obviously for those of you who are new and you haven't seen Tanker before, he's a relatively new player, but obviously he's obviously bought the Grant, and well, he hasn't played a Lee before, so it's something new for him to experience. So obviously I'm using the ZUT as an anti-aircraft at this point, trying to get rid of this J-20. And as you can tell, the recoil is very harsh. That's mainly due to the chassis and the sheer amount of automatic fire that can come out this thing, but to be honest, if you grow accustomed to it, you certainly can get used to it, although I do not advise using this vehicle as an anti-aircraft for the most part. Because as you can tell, the elevation speed's fine, it's the horizontal speed that really lets this thing down. Now, I do score a hit on him, but it didn't do much damage, because obviously it's an armor-piercing round. I have seen people recommend firing or taking HE ammunition in this tank. I personally wouldn't, because, well, there's just not much point. You're not going to be doing that much anti-aircraft work anyway, and chances are you're going to have to lead further than what you think. So at this point, I'm engaging into the enemy swarm, which is a bit dirty on my part, because obviously we've not got all three caps. But I do move on later on, so anyone who wants to give me shit, go right ahead, because, well, I'll admit here, I shouldn't have done this, but even so. But obviously that Saab M43 takes a pot shot, and, well, he hits the rubble, because obviously the smoke's in the way, and, well, I know where he's parked, because obviously I saw him earlier, and I finish him off, and then I flush my clip, as I've already mentioned. So that's my third kill for this match, and obviously I'm already on a cap already, but I'm not going to get another cap, but I'm just going to get us forward, because obviously I do try to traverse a hill, which I can't go up. You have to take it at an angle. And at this point, I thought I heard something up here, up in this area, which is very well known for having campers. So I was being very situationally aware. So I climbed up the rock, because honestly, this thing could be like a mountain goat. It is just so nippy. And in a moment, the B point's going to start getting capped. And this is where I possibly could have died. I spot the Panzer IV and I go for the engine shot, which is really the only thing I can do. And I disable the gunner, the loader, turret drive, and everything. And the Stir spots me, and I'm thinking, shit, I'm done. There's no way I'm getting out of this situation alive. But as you can tell, I'm setting the Panzer IV on fire, whilst Tanker distracts the Stir. Now, the Stir, well, I'm saying Stir because it's the best way to say it. I mean, the German saying is Sturmhaubitze. I don't know how you say it in German, but that's just how it is. And even then, Tanker distracted him long enough to enable me to get the final blow award for this battle. But that was my fourth kill of the match, obviously just before the game ended. And like I say, first impressions of the ZUT, I love it. It's a great little vehicle. I've had so many good games in it for the most part. I've had a couple of bad ones, but you get bad ones in every vehicle, so I can't exactly moan at that. And at the end of the day, you're not going to have awesome games 24/7, are you? But to put it simply, wait for the review. It will come soon. I can promise you that. It will come soon. But you're going to be surprised by what I say in that review. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the ZUT-37, and I will catch you all on the next one.